All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sabre Legion's Women's Division Tournament. Everybody's finalizing their action poses.
Nice group picture by the lady fighters that we got going on. They should be starting here in a few minutes. The good thing about today's fight is it's only going to be in one ring, so you won't have to worry about multiple angles. So we hopefully will be able to bring everything in detail for you guys.
It'll be interesting to see straight eliminations this time, as we've been fighting pools for the rest of the tournament, so you have a little bit of leg room if you're going down in a fight. Now everybody's got to make every single point matter.
That is correct. Yeah, that's right. No elimination pools, so kind of a one-shot, one deal.
Yep.
Pressure is
all
on.
Out there and hope it's enough.
Right.
It'd be great to see. I know quite a few of the fighters personally have had the chance to cross blades with several of them. We should have some really fun fights coming up.
The heavy hitters, or I should say women to watch, is obviously our current champion, Lex De Graaf, who is also fighting in women's longsword, and she will be advancing into the bracket fights either tonight or tomorrow. And so that'd be interesting to see if she actually wins that tournament, because she actually swooped her pools.
That's some great motivation to try to take home 2 titles.
So she'll have 2 titles, both women's longsword and women's TSL. So she'll be one to watch.
I believe she's also in standard TSL later today.
That is correct, and in open longsword. Oof. So yeah,
she
she's
has
good.
energy to spare.
The first match for the women's tournament is
All right, we have our first 2 fighters called to the ring.
Looks like Charlie will be in center stage for judging.
It appears we're waiting for our final line judge.
Here we go.
Appears that we have our 4th.
What's up, Eric? Good.
good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
All right.
Seth, how you doing, man?
Good to see you a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. How you been?
Yeah, good.
Excuse me while I introduce myself to everybody else, so that's in the commentary.
Say hi to the live stream.
I know.
Okay. Judges.
All right, officially it has begun.
Best of luck.
I didn't get the name of the fighters.
So we have Layla in the red corner and Nidia in the blue corner.
Okay.
Charlie, if you want to speed it up, maybe have them tied and contact people too. Yeah. Hey, you want to announce the on-deck people? And can I get somebody else to tie them up?
I'm sorry, what did Charlie just say?
All right, organizational woes, but here we go.
Was that a slip, Charlie?
I heard nothing. What are we talking about?
He requested officially if someone can tie them up. I believe that was fully not intentional to be anything other than just the armbands.
Of course, mostly.
And here we go.
All right. First engagement, extremely cautious. These 2 fighters have never met before in tournament.
Making good use of the ring space right now to fill each other out. No one's really committing yet. Smart moves. Oh!
First exchange.
3 judges saw red with the
Goes
shot
to the red
underneath
corner.
up to the arm. Red point. 1-0. Ready?
Good patient
Score is
fighting.
1-0 up for red.
Both maintaining a cautious approach. Florida with their usual extremely large contingent in the back.
As usual, Florida is one of our largest supportive charters.
Red taking second point.
That's a very interesting technique to come up from beneath. She's
Yes.
kind of taken a half reverse grip now. Very interesting style.
She may be trying to bait into the leg to continue coming up underneath that.
Yeah.
as
You don't see
Nidia's
too many
holding the higher guard.
Yep. Oh. Yep.
And a good attempt
Very-
to slip,
yeah.
but unfortunately the footing on carpeting is hard if
Yep.
you're not used to it. We've seen a
Not
couple
to let
tumbles.
an opportunity to waste.
So unlike the exotics tournament where we have a lot more ring space and a lot larger weapons, we do not reset after every round in standard division. Stepping just far enough out that we wouldn't touch each other after the fight is called back on.
Blue point, finally blue.
Appears to have found the way around up to the arm.
Blue is finally on the scar cards. It is now 3-1.
All right, she appears to be loosening up and having a little bit more fun now. Trying something a little bit different with her footwork. The match has remained a little bit low scoring, but she does still have to come back from a deficit. Now she's
1
found
minute
her
left
rhythm.
in the round. See if she can bring it back. Yep. That was a good clean hit for blue.
And appears to have found her rhythm. We have a nice even fight. Love to see it.
Score is 3-2, still up for red.
Lila not letting it get to her and maintaining a nice, steady center line. She knows that Nidia has to work to get to her and is going to let her do it.
She's very much dominating the center of the ring, which is a good. She's holding her ground. Sort of backing blue fighter into her corner a little bit.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
and successfully.
It's a good score for red.
Red, three judges saw red get over on the shoulder on that. Red point. 4-2. Ready?
Score is now 4-2, still up for red.
And she's maintaining her pacing. Again, remembering that blue has to come to her. But eliminating that space so blue can't circle around as much. Very intelligent fighting.
Final exchange.
It's like a few different calls from the judges.
So I'm going to agree with the blue judge that blue did get over the top quicker. Blue point.
All right.
Blue.
Blue was able to
Final
take one final
score.
point out of that. Red
4-3.
taking the match. Congratulations to Lila.
Final score is 4-3. Red takes the win. Ruth Marie and Dawn are our next fighters up in the ring. So what's the good thing about watching the women fighters is that they have a tendency to be not as wild as their counterparts.
It becomes
And
much
they-
easier to see technique.
Yeah,
and that
they
actually is a whole lot of fun.
definitely they bring a lot more calculated technique than they do their
Although
counterparts.
it appears we do have Ruth Marie Hodges coming out of Florida into
Yes,
the red
I could be
corner
proven
next,
wrong right
and,
now.
She is a firecracker.
Yeah. So whatever I just said, ignore it in this next match, please.
Spider Chris also maintaining his energy levels.
Here we go with the second fight. Moving right along in the women's tournament today.
what I said about energy? I take it back. She's going to fight very calm today. I expect this to be just, this is probably going to be the slowest you ever see Ruthie move. She appears to have no energy left.
Well, us as commentators, we actually have way more experience in what we're seeing than the judges. So, yes, take our word for it, not theirs, please.
Ruth using her extension extremely well for the first point.
I have a feeling the red lightsaber is going to win this fight.
It is hard to call, though. One of them might turn orange partway through.
Yeah, or off. One of the two. Mai has a tendency to do that.
Excellent read on that on the part of blue.
Good honor.
And a great
Both
honor
fighters
call.
on board with the points, 1-on-1 right now.
Everybody is extremely used to the exotics right now.
Yeah.
The first non-exotics match we've had since mid-afternoon yesterday.
Nice.
Ruthie with an extremely tempting feint.
Good clean point for red, 2-1.
Ruth maintaining her distance for a bait.
Okay, I'm going to go with the judges on this side. Two judges saw blue get the shot to the back of the arm first. Blue point.
But Dawn able to pull it out very, very well.
Fight.
Fight is even, 2-2. Red slightly faster.
Okay, three judges saw red come in and get blue just before it.
Right.
For red point.
Extremely close call.
Very good shot by blue.
Three judges saw blue get red on the way in. Blue point tied up 3 apiece.
Score is still tied,
Maintaining
3-3.
even for both. We've had two extremely close matches so far. Always excellent to see those matchups.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the judges. It's simultaneous first of the match.
As our first simultaneous of the match. For those of you tuning in who have not watched previously, simultaneous, the first two are perfectly straightforward, but once we get to 3, everyone starts to lose a point.
That's right. You will be punished after 3. 3 is your magic number.
Ruthie starting to dance a little bit, and Dawn remaining completely unperturbed. Another split decision on this one.
Judges red got a shot to the head. Quick. Red point.
Red was able to pull it out.
4-3, up red.
Dawn continuing to read those entrances well and being able to come back again.
Blue get over on top on red on the way in. Blue point tied up 4 apiece. Nice match.
Very even match.
He actually is maintaining a little bit slower. Still feeling that way. This is something she's never faced before.
I saw red going slightly faster, and judges agree.
Appears the judges did as well.
So now, this is if you're just tuning in, this is the first time you'll see our fighters switching sides. When the score reaches 5, the fighters switch sides. This allows our judges to see both fighters from different angles and allow for even judging.
Still an extremely close match, which
It can go either
have
way.
no complaints.
Yeah, it can go either way. Oh, very
Just
good.
dangling it out there. Definitely not the target she intended, but she did get there.
This is one of the things for TSL.
Now has a giggle fit.
Yeah. This is one of the things you see for TSL, that even though Blue Fighter made a clear, audible hit, Red was first to touch.
Now this could become a disadvantage to Red Fighter. She does get the giggles.
Very good. Red came in a little fast on that one. So.
Red got over the top slightly ahead. Red point.
Able to pull a wave to make a clear lead for the first time in the match.
That's right.
Fight.
talk about often when we're discussing strategy in here is that if something's working for you, you don't necessarily need to change before
Right.
the end of a match. As Ruthie has gotten more aggressive, some people will sometimes pull off as you hear that 30-second warning.
Yeah.
She is being very, very smart and not doing so
Yeah.
because she found something that works.
And she knows she has a lead, and so she just has to wait it out now.
Yeah.
Score is 9-4, and
It appears she's able to close it out.
Judges saw red to the first red.
And despite the giggles, Ruthie is able to pull it out.
final score 10-4.
Some good camaraderie at the center of the ring afterwards.
That was a very even fight from the very
was.
beginning until Ruthie decided to finally just pull it out towards the last set after the spot.
She felt Dawn out.
Yeah, that was probably the so
Agreed. Now that
maybe
out
she's
of the
trying
ring,
something new.
Maybe
Who
the
knows?
jitters are out.
Yeah.
Or it might have just been not having a familiar fighter. And one of our locals coming in for the blue corner. I believe our red corner will be out of the Columbus Saber Academy.
Ah, yes. This is Kat out of Columbus, Ohio. And the Columbus crew is actually a very pretty, they got a lot of fighters fighting in multiple events today.
They are
Lex is
extremely
fighting out of Ohio.
well-rounded group.
Yeah. I had the opportunity to spar with them a few times, and those are some serious, serious fighters.
And in her corner is the current champion of the women's division, as well as their lead instructor, Tom.
Yep. If you need a view, don't worry about it. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't want to be like my ass in front of it because last time I had to, if I really wanted to.
Ready? Okay. Fighters, acknowledge table. Acknowledge each other. All right, ready? Fight. Oh! All right, all four judges saw red come in on the
Red, first point on the scoreboard.
Excellent void of her blade to avoid that beat.
Yep. Pay attention to a lot of the footwork that's probably going to be used because I know the Ohio trainer really focuses on footwork. Expect to see a lot of sidestepping. Cat being very patient, waiting.
Excellent feint from beneath.
It's a split decision.
Split decision, however.
All right, I actually saw blue come over on the side of the head slightly before red got in there, so I'm going to go blue point.
Very good counter to it, though.
So 1-1, ready?
1-on-1. Ooh. Clear blue point.
Just saw blue.
Three
actually
blue
got
were
to the
able to
left
get to
thigh
its
slightly
leg.
faster. Blue point, 2, 1. Fight.
Score is 2-1, up for blue. They held the position. I'm not sure if they were taking pictures or they were waiting for a call.
Charlie conferring with different judges as we have a split decision again. Mark Carrico, one of the ranking tag team champions in the corner of Nevada right now.
Who punched me with the metal gauntlet earlier, by the way.
And to his credit, it was hilarious.
It was hilarious. Painful, but hilarious. I go in for like a sweeping hug, maybe with a rib shot, and he punches me in the face. You gotta love the guy.
Okay, I'm going to go with the two judges that saw red because we were obviously on this side. We couldn't see it, so red got a shot to the outside of the head. So red point.
Red point.
Charlie giving a nice fair call.
Fight.
Score is 3-2. Oh,
playing GoldenEye back in the day, but
Oh, yeah.
sometimes the key to winning is having a small hitbox.
Right. Oh, what was his name? Oh my God. I can't remember this. Everyone hated him because you can't shoot him.
Yeah, because he's like 2 feet tall.
Yeah. We were just talking about GoldenEye the other day. I was hanging out with people. I was like, yeah, they should bring that back.
I have not played that game in so long.
Oh, it set the standard for multiplayer. You know?
Continuing to have a nice set of even fights today.
Both fighters still cautious, trying to fill each other out. I believe Kat is focusing too much on trying to move her opponent's saber out of the way. I believe more of a sidestep game and invading her space would benefit her because she is the larger, with more reach opponent.
And sometimes being used to steel can be a disadvantage with these slippery blades because they do not bind.
Yeah, they do not bind at all. They slip all over the place.
I know several people have tried different things to solve that problem for themselves, and nothing seems to work.
Again, she's trying to deflect her opponent's saber.
Yep, definitely working that bind game, but having some trouble with it.
Judges, blue get underneath, come around underneath, blue point.
Score is 5-4. Blue is up.
And as the switch,
Fighters need to switch sides.
getting some advice from Tom out of her corner. Let's see if Kat changes her strategy at all.
And guaranteeing all Mark is telling his corner person is just stab him in the face. Because that's how he coaches everybody.
It is exactly the advice I got while he was in my corner this morning.
Kat waiting patiently, waiting for her to come.
30 seconds remaining.
Kat taking a less circuitous route to her opponent's head while still maintaining the bind. And with a good honor call, is able to tie it up.
5-5. Final exchange is about to come out, so this will be it.
Yeah, the patient fight is keeping these lower scoring than we've seen in some of our previous fights today.
Oh, yes.
Red is able to pull it out with her patience.
Yes.
A very
Red
close
was able to
fight.
get that poke on blue on the way in. Red point, 6-5.
6-5.
Ready? Fight!
If she can hold on to that lead, run out the timer, then
We should be closing out in final exchange, like you
yeah,
said.
final exchange.
Which in the pattern of the fights today may lead to a sudden death.
Oh!
Yep, red was actually
I saw red on that one, so yeah.
red point. 7-5. Red
7-5. Kat pulls off the win. Good
Excellent
fight. Even fight throughout.
Everyone continuing to maintain even matches. I do wonder if the fact that this is a straight elimination is playing into the caution that some people are playing with right now.
Yeah. I agree because you kind of have to bring your all to it.
Yeah,
just
tiny little
restrict-
mistakes that cost you 1 point can become you getting knocked out of the tournament entirely.
Yes.
But it is making the deficit easier to make up for opponents when you do have a lead right now, because with a 1 point deficit in 30 seconds,
Yes. It's a do or die situation because in that sudden death you can tie it up, which I believe if it's a tie up, they can go to a sudden death. Yeah.
yes. So if in that final exchange, the fighter who's down does manage to tie, there's 30 more seconds added on for a sudden death, next point win.
So it's not a guarantee if you run down the clock.
All right, yet another Florida fighter coming out. This is Melody Graham, the queen of the Amazons, as she has been proclaimed by our
From Florida.
crew down there.
And her opponent is, I'm not sure who's coming up next.
Oh, we have Alicia Robb.
Ah,
She's a classic fencer who has been training in classic fencing and HEMA for quite some time.
oh good. So we have another classic fencer and a HEMA fighter in the red corner versus Melody.
And out of the blue corner, while Melody has a more diverse background, she spent quite a bit of time up with Aaron Riley training in Beacon Jitsu.
That's right.
So this will be a nice meeting of East meets West. but with the flair of boops.
Yeah.
Something that drastically changes the game is that one touch.
Ironically, when Lex actually won her championship, she actually adopted more of a Kenjutsu style. But ever since she's been training with the Ohio charter, she's definitely brought in a lot more of the European longsword to her style. So it'd be interesting. Hopefully I'll have an opportunity to spar her later, because I adopt a heavy Kenjutsu style in my way of fighting, and so we'll see how she does.
Highly looking forward to the Patch Palooza on Sunday.
Yes, yes.
There are many patches here that I have not had the chance to.
I've had so many people saying, hey, are you fighting? No. Are you doing sparring day? Yes.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Again, the Florida Battalion backing their corner.
And here we go. This will be an interesting fight because I think this pool, or this fight right here, is going to determine, I think, who will be part of our semifinalists.
So we have a split decision, but I did see blue come up underneath the arm on the exchange, so blue point.
Point
Breaking the
0.
split decision.
Right?
Red Fighter still adopting.
The one-handed.
Yes. That's something you don't see very often. Is
Finding
a pure
balanced blade for it is extremely difficult.
no Suba, one-handed. That's very rare in TSL.
This judge on this one. So red hit blue on
It was
the
a split
weighing
decision. Charlie now breaking that tie in favor of red.
Red point. 1-1.
Score is 1-1.
Fight.
Again, Red Fighter still adopting that classic fencing style. This is very good to see, actually. I like seeing a lot of traditional stances brought in to TSL. Complementing our whole...
Decision on that one for Melody.
Ready? Fight.
Now, something interesting that I'm seeing happen here is Melody is going more for the helmet than normal. Because with only one arm out there, it becomes easier for the one-handed fighter to void the arm.
Correct. Once again...
With her lead at this point, she is being extremely patient.
Yes, I believe Red should be a little bit more aggressive. Obviously, Melody is waiting, running down the timer a little bit.
She's been charged in that a couple of times. I do understand her trepidation.
Yeah.
But when down in points,
She
it does force you to change your strategy a little
Red
bit.
Fighter has a very good defense.
Blue able to come to that outside line, an extremely difficult position to defend in classical fencing with one hand on the blade.
Right. Score is now 3-1, up for Blue.
One of Melody's favorite stances is that low guard because it does tend to lull a lot of people into thinking she's not prepared for you.
Right.
And
Yeah.
as my
It's a
face
good
can tell
bait.
you, she is.
Yeah. It's a very good bait technique. However, the only problem with the low guard like that, it's a very slow recovery if you
can
make a
be.
mistake. So I think Red Fighter needs to take advantage of that and just utilize the booping.
Yes.
You know, give him a nice little boop on the lead arm. Just like that.
Underneath the arm on that blue point.
Blue point for that.
Yeah. So what the cameras may be picking up is Jared having some fairly random calls. I do not know, for all the years I've been training with them, I have no idea what any of their calls out to each other mean, but Jared and Mel do have a language of their own.
Yes. It's actually some things a lot of corner people do is they give certain techniques or moves, certain calls, and then
Blue gets to the leg on the way hand, red slightly beforehand. Blue, 5-1, switch him up.
I actually first witnessed this at TSL3 when Charlie was fighting, and Terry was actually in the corner for Charlie, and he was saying things like turtle and things like that.
We definitely had code names back when I fought Muay Thai.
All right, fighter ready?
I do feel a little bad there's no one in Red Fighter's corner to coach her.
It is the intimidation factor
Yeah.
of the Florida Battalion, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I
I really wish someone would. I mean, if I wasn't,
feel alone.
I know. If I wasn't here, I would probably try to corner, Red a little bit, because it's nice to have a nice second set of eyes there.
Underneath beforehand. Blue point.
exchange, the Queen of the Amazons is able to take it out. I have definitely had my own troubles as a one-handed fighter against more of the Kenjutsu style in the past.
Yeah, it's probably the weakness in the Bane is the one-handed fighter for me.
That was just closer than it looked, though. I mean, the score was not indicative of, because all those points were just, I mean, it was just mostly just messing around, touching on it.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, if you honestly looked at a lot of the techniques that Red Fighter was using, it was classical fencing, and she had perfect angles for defense. A lot of first strikes that Melody was going out for didn't make it through her defense.
Blades.
Yeah, it was the follow-ups.
Exactly.
It was the follow-ups and the non-binding nature of the saber that was kind of tripped her up. You know,
It can very much change how we play from steel.
Yeah.
Although hilariously, as much as I love steel, this might be my favorite game. I just
Yeah.
like the more genial nature of whipping my friends with glow sticks.
It's a lot less restrictive as far as rules go as well. You know, TSL, it is literally first to the touch. So, you know, there's a little bit more play in being able to score points, whereas most, you know, either of it's Kendo, which is very specific, you know.
It makes it very easy for the different styles to play with one another, and I absolutely love that.
Which hence is why, you know, we are sort of the mixed martial arts of, you know, sword fighting.
So
it's nice to see when people start bringing different styles in.
Jared had an interesting story about the origins of TSL, because we often pitch it to our friends, or at least I do, as a mixed martial arts of sword play. And he goes, I know that's what we tell people, but honestly, it was just a bunch of people who liked hanging out, and they happened to find this to do together.
Yes, that's exactly how it started. So making first into the ring is Lex De Graaf, and I'm not sure who her opponent is right now.
I believe Lila will be fighting out of the red corner again. Victor of our first match of the day.
And because Lex is the current champ, I believe, is the reason why she got a bye and didn't have to fight the early front.
I'm not familiar with the tournament setup, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
I
believe so. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why she's fighting now and didn't have to fight earlier. Is because
that would make sense.
So based on
last time.
What's that?
Last time I saw her fight, I believe she was using a lighter saber. I believe she's using something with a little bit more of a traditional sword balance now.
I'm not sure if she's using Tom's crosspoint saber.
Yes.
So I know last tournament she used that. Her first tournament she didn't.
I'd seen her using some of the key saber extremely light models for a while.
So this is interesting. I'm not sure on Layla's background, but she's wearing the traditional hakama for more traditional Japanese style, and her stance is more traditional kendo style. So we're going to see a nice little East versus West clash here. Oh.
Hold up. 1 second. Here's on the second one.
A fighter out of the... one of the judges believes they saw a glancing blow off of the blue. Oh, and 2 judges did see it.
All right, here we go. So, real quick, we have 2 judges on that side. We did not see the hit. We did not see it actually hit. 2 judges on it thought they might have saw it. So, to be honest, I'm just going to say no count, no shot. 2 over on that one, okay?
Okay, so that was a no
judges
call.
on the side of where the blade was were unable to see it, which is why Charlie made that call.
Oh! 3 judges saw blue get underneath. Blue point. 1-0. Ready?
Blue is up.
Fight!
Lex is up 1-0.
Probably the most aggressive approach we've seen so far.
Yes.
Very assertive, actually. Probably a better way to put it.
She does not hold back at all.
Oh!
Nice.
And mixing up a couple styles in here.
All
That was
4
an
judges
excellent
saw
forward
front
lunge.
get in first. Blue point. 2, 1. Ready? Fight! Yeah. Where's the... Did you guys start it? 2-0, 2 blue.
No, 2 blue.
Little
correction.
There we go. There we go.
The red blade is throwing someone off.
That is how observant Lex can be. She even keeps track of her score while still fighting.
That is extremely difficult to do and a skill I have never mastered.
You were doing this, I was wondering what this was. All right, never mind. All right, ready? Fight!
Trapping her high guard. Ooh, very good. That reverse hand guard is a huge giveaway for undersweep. And it works. It actually works. Yeah, it works. Score is now 2-1.
Both fighters becoming more patient as they felt each other out.
All right, it's us.
That was too close to call. It was really hard to tell who got in.
Okay, basically what we've got, we've split decision on this side, but what we got is we got red with the thrust a little bit low on it, and then at the same time blue had a valid strike to the head, so blue point on that.
So what happened
Thrusts
there
below
was...
the rib line are not allowed.
Yes, that is
So
a
while
illegal
the
hit
leg
target.
contact at the same time, it will not count.
Right.
Lex maintaining that high guard.
Yep, two judges. I'm going to go to the two judges that did see this time the thrust hit the arm on the way in. So red shot, red point. 2, 3, ready?
Score is now 3-2. Lex is up by
Because
1.
of Lila's more kendo type nature, Lex is attempting to take steps around the straight linear approach.
Oh! Yep, red did get a shot on the leg on the follow through on that. So red, 3-3.
It is now tie score.
Ready?
One of the hardest parts about
Right.
those long shots with the
Yes.
separate balance that way does make it a little bit more difficult to recover back
Yeah.
online.
Yeah, especially when it hits the floor like that. It can kind of upset your game a little bit. Good. Very good, solid hit. That was a classic Kima attack from longsword, up over the top of the blade, and directly right for the head. In Hema, that would score you 3 points.
It's a well-controlled strike.
Nice side
Again,
step.
trying to avoid the line.
All judges saw blue come over the top.
Able to be
slightly
successful
faster.
this
Blue
time.
point. 5-3. Ready?
5
Oh, 5 points. Switch sides.
fighters are now switching sides.
So those low thrusts also pose a problem of range, while Lex is going for the arm, which is the closer
Yes.
of the two targets. A deep thrust while she steps back will always get there second.
When typically for kendo fighters, the hand or the forearm is a huge target. And so I'm surprised to see not as much of that being taken advantage of right now. Very
Very
nice.
fast hits.
Very fast.
All judges saw blue a little bit faster over the top. On
Seems
that
like
blue
Lex
point.
has finally gotten in her rhythm and her
6-3,
distancing.
ready?
She's within measure.
Fight.
So score is now 6-3. There again, switching for that reverse hand grip.
Revice coming out of the corner is to continue her current strategy. As we talked about earlier, if it's working,
Right.
don't change in the last few seconds.
Exactly.
I'm going to go with 3 out of the 4 judges to say simultaneous as well. We're simultaneous in the match. All right. Fight. 30 seconds remain.
30 seconds.
Posting back into a waiting stance on one side, as Red is forced to try to make a
Nice. Very clean. Very measured.
Yep, 3 judges saw blue
Excellent
get a little bit
sidestep.
over the top on the back first. Blue point. 7-3. Ready?
This is why Lex is a champion.
Fight.
He's very good and very calculated in her strikes.
reads extremely well.
Yes. Score is now 7-3. Lex is up. Again, very calculated, within measure, within perfect distance.
Blue point.
Score is now 8-3.
We good there? Is that it?
Yes.
8-3. Ready?
We're
Fight.
close to closing out this one if Blue can continue this press.
Final
Take it back.
exchange.
Final exchange has been called. But maintaining your patience. Lex knows that in an elimination tournament, as her moving on, maintain your energy.
Nice, very good.
An excellent void of her
Excellent.
leg.
Yep.
Step over the top.
She
of
saw it coming with that.
fight.
Follow through. Blue point. 9-3. Winner. Blue.
Lex wins.
Phenomenal fight out of that corner.
Again, another good demonstration of great technique.
I paid you
So there are good advantages to switching up a hand like that, you know. But the only problem, it telegraphs
It can,
large,
especially
you know.
when you're holding one of those more like long
Yes.
tail type stances or something more like
Yeah.
Donna where she's further back.
Yeah, and when you're going against someone like Lex, it's not always good to use it repeatedly because a smart fighter will pick it up pretty quickly. Unexpectedly, yes, it'll work. Because it's not very common, and so yeah, it can
Some people will not know how to handle it.
yeah, exactly.
That is one of the general consensuses you'll hear about reverse grip throughout the martial arts community, and a long weapon is it might work once.
Yeah, exactly. Hollywood makes good use of it, though.
Hollywood makes excellent use of it. I do have to say, I love watching the way that some people are able to make the close engagements on film
Yeah,
look frantic.
yeah,
Excellent example of that for me is always my favorite, the Bourne franchise. The hand-to-hand work in that is frantic.
Yes.
You feel exactly the panic the fighters were supposed to feel.
Yes.
Because you have no idea where the camera was supposed to be.
exactly.
Honestly,
Like
not sure
you're-
the director did either. But
Yeah, I think that he just said, you know what, just go with it. You know?
I'm going to put you right next to the fighters, try to dodge them.
Yeah.
Melody's ready this time around.
And, if the camera makes it over them, it'll be great.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
So we have Melody versus Cat. This will be an interesting. They both are.
Yeah, had two patient fighters.
Yeah,
the
patient
last
fighters.
time.
They so we'll see if they're going to change it up a little bit for this fight. I don't think they will.
And the two of them both attempted to bind and wind a little bit with their slippy
Yeah,
sabers.
yeah.
So we may see more of that as well.
Yeah. I saw Melody trying to hit more of the saber out of her opponent's line, and Kat's kind of did the same thing in the last one. So
It should be an
we'll see if
excellent mirror match.
We'll see if they do this, or how they do this.
All right. Line judges. Table. Ready. Red fighter ready? Blue fighter ready? All right. Ready? Fight. Oh, I'm sorry. Balance the table, please.
Fighters
Even
acknowledging
the most
saber.
experienced directors
Table?
can miss a step.
Yeah.
Especially this far into the tournament where we're so used to being ready to go.
Despite his faults, Charlie is a great director.
Charlie's a wonderful director. Again, both patient, taking the same guards they did in their previous fight.
Nice.